if you are a real estate investor with a family, you have undoubtedly said or possibly thought that, hey, I am making all of these sacrifices, putting in all this energy and whatnot for my family. Many of you have probably gone a step further and said, I hope that they take it over, either explicitly or implicitly. Well, you know what? Brian and I have some kids, some adult children, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. What's going on, young man?
So I get to have therapy today, Mike. This is cool, man.
Me too. Me too. It goes both ways.
Yeah, I'm just getting back from Paris and which was an amazing trip, right? But I felt like rather than talk to the viewers about that today, it may be more beneficial to just talk about some pain, right? And uh some pain that can be avoided, right? And I think you and I probably have got quite the education in this area, right?
Oh
So,
yeah,
so I'm
absolutely.
eager. So I'm eager to share. So my personal experience, right? I started investing in 2006, at which time I was a young dad. I was 22. My daughter was 4,
Mm.
and so I was just trying to figure out something substantial enough that I felt like could provide for my family well beyond a 9 to 5, right? But at some point, like I think most investors and parents, you assume that the children are going to also subscribe to what you're doing and hopefully draw interest in it. And that just wasn't the case for me until my daughter was 18. Okay.
Oh,
And
yep.
this was at the height of COVID. This was December of 2020. She came to me and she was like, Dad, I want to learn how to wholesale. Now, up to this point, she had been doing some work over the summer, like in our real estate education business, kind of helping out with students and things of that nature. But she had never drawn a true affinity for wanting to invest. So I
Mm.
told her, I said, well, I'll tell you what, if you're serious, I'm going to have a course on sale for Christmas. Okay. And I know the viewers, they going to kill me in the comments, but I'm being honest. I said,
Yep.
I got a course on sale for Christmas. It's going to be $500. If you're serious, buy the course. I'm gonna give you pro bono mentorship. Two things I knew would happen. One, when people pay, they pay attention, right?
Yeah.
If she had a vested interest, then I would know that she's serious. Secondly, how much further can I advance you if we're both reading from the same playbook? That was
Yeah.
my real essence behind it. So that way you're not just randomly popping in and out of office asking questions and we're getting nowhere fast. So she did that true to form. 2 months later, she had her first deal under contract. That one didn't work out. 4 months after that, she closes on her first property remotely. Okay. And
Well, hold, one sec. We don't script these things, you and I, right? We talk for 30 seconds and we
oh
just
yeah,
roll.
yeah.
So, it's funny you bring this up. So this is not my daughter. This is my niece. So
Okay.
my niece reached out to me during COVID. She's, I think she was 18 or 19 at the time. She had a job, all of that. And she basically said, I think she wanted to get the buy box course that I have. It's $50, right? It's ridiculously cheap. Unlike you, however, I said, no problem. Not only will I give you that one, I will give you everything I have. But here's the difference. She's not logged into any of them. I checked about 6 months ago. So back to your point, hey, pay to play. All I had no idea this where this, it's like maybe I should have had her pay $50. I mean, it was really again, I have a soft heart. She's come from, she doesn't have much. I don't need $50 like you don't need 500,
Mhm.
but I did it one way, you did it the other. Yours worked, mine clearly didn't. I don't know, eye-opening, just another example. So go ahead, sorry.
No, I'm glad you interjected with that, Mike, because people think they want free, but they don't.
Yeah, I
People
screwed
only
up.
appreciate what they pay for. And it doesn't matter the size of the monetary value. It's just the fact that they have a vested interest, a tangible vested interest at that point. Because here's the thing, much like you being her uncle, much like me being Brianna's father, there's a scripture that says, um, a prophet is not without honor except for in his own town and his own land amongst his own people. Okay, a prophet, that be me and you, is not without honor except for in his own town and his own land amongst his own people. So what
Right.
Jesus is saying in that scripture is that the people closest to us don't truly appreciate us at the level that they probably should. And that's nothing negative per se, but we just need to be consciously aware of that. It's similar to how they say when LeBron comes home, he's just dad to them. He's not,
Right. Yeah.
right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so what happens is when we just give them stuff, they really don't appreciate it. So you have to circumvent that by making them have a vested interest to where now they appreciate the fact that they put some money into something, the likelihood increases that they'll follow through on it, right?
Yeah. You
And
know what's
so,
really funny is I would say over the last 5 years, I have had, I don't know, 50 some odd people reach out to me some way, somehow with some kind of story
mhm.
where I ended up giving them something for free. And I only can remember one situation. There may be a couple of more, but I only can remember one situation where they did any of the work. This, yeah, this is eye-opening to me. So I appreciate this conversation.
For sure, for sure. And so, to make a long story short, Brianna goes, she closes on her first deal. She does a $40,000 renovation on her own at just crossing her 18th birthday into 19. And it was a disaster. Now, the outcome of the project was phenomenal, right? She's been cash flowing that thing, making $1,000 net positive income for the last 3 years now.
Mm,
But the process, though, was horrible in the sense that she mistaken my movement as being easy until she had to actually do it herself. And, for what do you even call their generation? I'm a millennial. They're a
Gen Z.
Gen Z, right? So for a Gen Z to deal with contractors and people that don't actually do what they say they're going to do, when she grew up in a household experiencing somebody who does what they say they're going to do, it,
Yeah.
it literally, it did something to her internally. Like she had anxiety. She was stressed out about it. She couldn't understand why the contractors wouldn't do what they're supposed to do, this, that, and the other. And long story short, she hasn't had any aspirations on doing any more deals actively. She says
Mm,
that now she just wants to be a passive investor. Okay. And I told her there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes we
yeah.
have this experience to identify where we land in the grand scheme of things. And so
Yeah.
I say all of that to say I've quickly identified that I'm grateful that my daughter now possesses at least enough wherewithal and a skill set to where she can look at, in the absence of me and her mom, she can at least look at the estate and make some logical sense of what we're doing. But by
Mhm.
no stretch am I pushing on her or even expecting her to invest at the level that I've
Yeah.
aspired to or have done.
Yeah. One question I have for you is when Brianna was growing up and you were doing deals, was she like in the car with you? Was she like going to spots and you were taking her away from her friends and you were bringing her to junky properties and all of that? Was that part of the play?
Very early on, very early on, only like that 2006 to 10 era, I would say.
And how
After
old was she then? She
she
was
was
little.
she was like, yeah, she was young. She was 7 or 8. So it was fun to her at that point, right?
Yeah, okay,
As she
okay.
became more of a preteen, a teenager, she was so inundated with dance and she's been a paid actress since she was 12. So she was so inundated with that stuff, mom stuff, that she
Mm.
just had no interest in what I was doing anymore.
See, that's where I've admitted many times I got it wrong. So we had Teresa when I was young, right?
Right.
And we didn't get going until I was 30. So we really got going when Teresa was a teenager.
Okay.
And we thought it was a brilliant idea to bring her along as we were going through foreclosed and disgusting squatter properties. And I strongly suggest not doing that.
Mm.
We should have brought her to the after remodeled, pretty cash flowing properties. That we may have had a better chance because if you talk to Teresa now about real estate investing, she's only got the stories about the one time we opened a door and cockroaches fell down, and that time there was human waste all over the living room floor, and she doesn't realize that all of that was really the smell of money. She
Mm.
just remembers the disgusting, how can people live like this stuff.
Right.
So we did that all wrong. Don't do that, folks. Mom and dad, don't bring your teenage daughters to disgusting properties because that's all they will ever remember.
I'm not laughing at you, Mike. I'm laughing because inherently I would think to do the same thing though. The only reason why I didn't take Brianna to those properties is because she just wasn't available. You know what I mean? Like legitimately, she wasn't available because of all the prior commitments. But I would have done the same thing. That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, you got lucky. Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we weren't gonna leave her at home, and our properties are 2.5 hour away, so we used it as father, mom, daughter time. We got there, and it was just don't. I mean, and again, it's funny because we did talk about the process. We documented, we showed her that, but that's all she remembers. And this is 20 years ago or 15 years ago. I mean, you
Okay.
talk to her today, she's over 30. And that's all she remembers with those stories. So don't do that.
Yeah. So would you say what would you say her level of interest in real estate is at this point?
Zero.
Okay.
If I could go negative, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a creative source. That's what she wants to do. Um, she has no interest in having what we have. Our current plan, subject to change, is we'll consolidate our portfolio into a couple of Class A things
Hmm.
that she will take over at our passing,
Hmm.
and so she will be fine no matter what. I mean, that's really important to mom and I. Um, but yeah, she wants nothing to do with our portfolio.
Yeah.
Zero, nothing.
I think it's so much wisdom in what you just said, though, Mike, as far as, and you've talked about this periodically before,
Mhm.
where you intend on getting rid of kind of the eyesores of the portfolio to put as many of a turnkey properties with great equity positions and like the class, like you said, the class A, the trophy properties are the ones that
Yeah.
you intend on leaving behind. I think that's so important though for everybody listening to this and watching it because many people pass down their problems to the
Yes, that's not happening. No, because this is what will happen. Let's just say, heaven forbid, Olivia and I pass unexpectedly. Teresa will sell everything we have for 50 or 60 cents on the dollar within 6 months. No doubt. She'll get a bunch lump of money, not as big as it should have been, because again, she has no interest. To
yeah.
her, all of our stuff is a problem.
Mhm.
So if we know that, and we will make plans probably in a decade to a decade and a half where we will purposely get to a point where we have less but high quality.
Yeah.
And let's also be clear, Olivia and I will enjoy, that portion of our life because we'll spend a lot of it as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, she's going to probably end up with, and you have to talk to your kids, especially if you're in my situation where she's got zero interest.
Yeah.
Now, I'm hopeful it changes, but it hasn't yet. And she's 30, so I'm not sure it will.
Mhm.
We'll have to talk to her about, hey, honey, you're going to have these 5 things. They're going to be less than 5 years old. They're going to have little to no debt. You're going to have to pay insurance and taxes. Here's your point of contact at the property manager. You should not sell these things for anything less than X. We're going to have to give her all of that.
Man, that's good.
So, yeah, that's the
That's
plan.
good. That's good, Mike. I hope everybody really caught that aspect of this conversation because that's so important that what we think we're setting them up with a good thing is actually one of the worst things we could ever do for them if we don't give them one, great properties to hold on to. Secondly, the education behind what to do with them and kind of a go no go gauge because they're going to have a ton of people in their ear
Oh, yeah.
competing for their position, right? And to your point, it's so easy in those moments to just kind of acquiesce and do something that felt good in a moment, but was a horrible thing in the grand scheme of things. And so we got to be transparent. You know, it was a very uncomfortable conversation when my wife and I finally went and got our estate plan done. And we had to talk to our, at the time, 20 or 21-year-old daughter about, hey, you're the executor of the state. Like, can you make
Yeah.
these decisions? And in Brianna fashion, she was like, yeah. You
Yeah.
know, so I'm like, okay, fair
All
enough.
right.
You know? And
All right.
so
Let's
uh
go. All right.
yeah, but it's so important that while we're building, one, that we don't make our dreams their dreams.
Yeah.
Right. Um, because I won't lie, like when Brianna got the first deal done, I thought she was bitten by the bug too. And
Yeah,
so
she was going to unlock, right? Just
oh my God. And so I was like, I'm down the street around the corner. She's still in the garage. You know what I mean? so so her mom had to reel me back in, like, she doesn't want to do that. I'm like, yeah, but that's not what she's telling me. And she just don't want to hurt your feelings. Like she don't want to do it. And so I finally had to pull back. And it's interesting. She called me yesterday and she asked me about she's doing good in Georgia. She's making more money. She's got another promotion with this hospital consortium that she's working with. And she was asking me, she said, my lease is up in September. Should I do a rent to own? Should I buy a house? Or should I just go lease another apartment or condo? And I was like, let that cash stack.
mm,
And when it's time to buy a house, you'll know it'll be time to buy a house. I'm like, what do you even plan on doing for the next 5 years?
yeah. Do you
And
even know? Yeah.
right. And I just appreciated the fact that at one point, Mike, she wouldn't have called me on that.
No, she wouldn't have called you.
You know
No.
what I mean? She wouldn't have called me on that. So I was just, it let me know the health of our relationship that
Yeah.
she was even willing to reach out to ask for that counsel. And once I broke all the scenarios down to her, she was like, okay, cool. I said, don't believe the hype. Like there's nothing wrong with renting
Yeah.
when you have uncertainty. I said, this whole idea of home ownership
Mm.
is something that been pushed and irresponsibly pushed on people, not realizing that you're buying your biggest liability. You should be in no
Yeah.
hurry doing that.
Yeah. If you got to ask if you're ready, the answer is no. I mean, I get that question 5 times a week in comments. Should I buy a home now? If you got to ask some random guy on the internet, the answer is no. You shouldn't buy a home. All right. Everybody clear? You're not going to willing to do the work. Don't buy a home. It's crazy. You
Yeah,
know that happens. You know you get those questions.
it does. It does. It does. And I just told her, I'm like, enjoy this time. Like, make as
Yeah.
much as you possibly can. If you want to buy another investment, do that. But in terms of just going to lock yourself into a primary residence, it's not necessary.
Yeah. What is she like? 24, something like that?
She'd be 22 in August.
Oh man. In your 20s? It's
Exactly.
not, you don't have got to lock yourself down like that. I mean, come on. Don't do
Exactly.
what we did.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Now, enjoy the 20s, right? I was working 2 jobs and going to school and having, raised family. Don't do that. Don't do what I did.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
Oh, that's
So
insane.
how would you sum this up, Mike, for those that because okay, before I say that, let me say this. There's the other investor who literally says, I have 5 children. I'm buying each investment property, one for each of them. And it to me, it sounds like nails on the chalkboard when they say it.
Oh, you
Like,
know what? I disagree.
do
I
you really?
love that. I do.
Okay. So tell me why.
So again, right? So I've actually recommended people do that.
Okay.
So like one of the things I tell in the Silicon Valley, like you have a new kid, you need to buy a rental home for that kid
Hmm.
so that at 18 you can give it to them and they have options. You want to go to school? Great. There's equity or you can sell it. You want to
Hmm.
start a small business? Great. All of that. Um, I love that idea. I love the idea of purposely saying, when I'm dead and gone, each of you get one and you could do whatever you want. But
Hmm.
again, I think to my earlier comment, you got to tell them kind of frameworks of what they're getting and all of that. But I think inflation's a feature, not a bug. I think owning assets is the way to get wealthy. I think if you had 5 kids, 3 of them will keep it and 2 of them will sell it because they're spenders or their significant other is. But you did something amazing. You probably bought something for 40% of its current value and you're giving them options. That's probably you could do a lot more with 5 homes than you could with a 401k account. I think
Yeah.
it's a great idea. I love the idea.
Yeah. So going back to my earlier point, this is why I don't like the idea. Oh, hold on, Mike. Did I cut us off?
No, you're good.
Oh,
You're
okay,
good.
cool. We still all right. So this is why I don't like the idea.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea because one, I believe I believe that when the adversity starts, when you're looking for deals and it's not happening, when you start dealing with this problem and that problem, I believe that you have to have something more tangible to hold on to for you personally to keep you going in those moments.
Oh,
Okay.
for sure. Yep.
And I think when we have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old and like the idea of why you're doing it sounds great, but as you're getting your teeth kicked in, you need some other type of gratification other than this idea of somebody who can't even understand what you're doing is going to
Yeah.
appreciate this 15 years from now, right?
Oh, no doubt.
And
Yep.
and moreover, the likelihood that they will appreciate it is a lot less because of the reason that I mentioned why I had my daughter buy the course.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Because when you
free.
pay, right, when you pay attention, they have to have a vested interest in what you're doing.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they can't really appreciate all of what you had to do to make that happen. So what
No
I
doubt.
typically recommend, especially for new students that come in who have, I would call that a passion project, right?
Sure.
So
I would
so
too.
many students come in the program and they're like, well, I want to go and revitalize my old neighborhood, or I want to go and, create this opportunity for the home. And all those are great things. But that's not the way you effectively build a profitable real estate business first. Those are all things you do after the fact.
After. Yep.
After the fact, right? And so I try to just kind of recalibrate the focus for many new investors to say, hey, listen, if that's the ultimate goal, great. But don't build your portfolio on that premise. Build your portfolio as an investor who's just trying to buy the next best deal. And then
I like it.
delegate kind of what the disposition of those properties are after that fact. And
I like
so
that. That's a nice twist.
only because, Mike, I just feel like the goal is so fleeting that it can really stifle you on building this thing in a moment,
Yeah.
because the reason why you're doing it could
The first
deteriorate.
5 years suck. They just suck. You got to have something that's yours to hold on to. That's an excellent point. Yeah. Yeah. And to this entire conversation, I've leaned entirely towards give, give, give. And as I've said repeatedly, it's the wrong idea. There's no pay to play. There's no skin in the game. So I'm not sharing my ideas are right. It's just the ones that I currently have, and maybe I need to change it.
Well, I think most of the people watching this are data-driven people, right?
Yes,
That was
it's
my
true.
experience at the ORAD event. And clearly, this is not opinion. This is based off of practical
Yeah.
application. You've tried it one way, and the results have suggested it don't work, and
Amen. Well said.
I've tried it the other way, and the results have been a little bit better with people that actually pay. And so,
They've been better. They've been way better. Way
yeah,
better. Way
yeah,
better.
yeah.
See,
And
I told you this is going to be coaching for me. You're amazing.
Mike, we both just guys that take enough action to where we can actually get the data, as opposed
That's right.
as opposed to hypothetical and
Yeah.
theorize, put everything
Theory.
in theory like
Yeah.
most people. So
Oh,
no,
dude,
this
I
is
appreciate. I
good, Mike.
appreciate.
I hope this helps somebody though,
Yeah, I
because
do. Leave us comments below. What are you going to do for your kids? Leave
yeah,
us in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you.
that's
Brian,
good.
how can people find you?
Brian Adamson official everywhere, YouTube, Instagram. Give me a shout out.
There you go. Thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.